Hey guys, this is Josh Peak. I'm the host of the Josh Peak Show. I'm glad that you're here and listening to my podcast. I would appreciate it if you'd go over to iTunes or Spotify, wherever you're listening to this, and give me a good rate, as well as subscribe to the podcast. I'd really appreciate that. It helps people that are listening to the podcast or looking for it to kind of get an idea of what we're doing here. So in this podcast, it was kind of one of those impromptu things to where my guest and I we were messaging on Facebook Messenger, and we're good friends. We've talked quite a bit over the years and developed a good relationship. And he said, "Hey, you want to do a podcast?" And I was like, "Sure." He goes, "Can we do it on your show?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." And I said, "I'll be there in about 30 minutes. I'll be home." So we recorded it, and there was no like notes or ideas or anything that I was going to talk about. So I didn't know what it was going to be. This guy, you never know what he's going to say, and so. Was not, I would say, nervous, but just didn't know what to expect. So we went and lit up the StreamYard that we use to do that I use to do my podcast, and we riffed. We just went and started discussing network marketing and what's going on in the world today as far as politically, geopolitically, and that kind of thing. And so it just went where it went, and it ended up being a pretty good podcast. Now, the quality of it on StreamYard, on his side, for whatever reason, it was lagging. He's in Canada, and so I don't know if his Wi-Fi was great or not. But anyways, I thought it ended up pretty good, and so here we go. And I've taken the audio and turned it into a podcast. That's what I do with my StreamYard. I teach people how to do that, clients. Consulting as well, teach people how to create a podcast, launch a podcast, and have a successful one. So anyways, I hope you enjoy this. This is with Val Smyth. He's out of Canada. Had a huge boom back in the 90s with a company called Mentors in Motion, and just crushed it. And so anyways, a lot of wisdom there. He understands marketing and how to really get a crowd going, and he's got a pretty big following as well. So I interview him. This was a couple days ago. I interviewed him, and so now just editing and putting it together. But anyways, you can follow me on social media at Josh Peak. That'd be on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and then on my website it'd be joshpeak.com. You can go to the resources tab, look at all the tools, trainings that I've got, and if you're interested in talking, you need help with your business. From a marketing and branding standpoint, as far as lead generation as well. We build chatbots, we do podcast launches, we do social media marketing training, my team and I do, as well as paid advertising as well. We've helped U.S. congressmen and very successful businesses as well as solo entrepreneurs as well. So if you need help, just go to joshpeak.com, go to the contact page, and you can reach me there or on social media, either one, and just let me know how I can help you out. So with that being said, I hope you enjoy this podcast, the Josh Peak Show. Thank you.
Josh Peak Show.
All right. Hey, Val. This is Josh Peak, and we are live on my page. Usually I do this on my other business page, but I've been wanting to put together a interview for everybody watching here, getting ready to start. I've been wanting to do an interview with Val for quite some time, and he's from Canada. We'll talk a little bit, but he's a legend in the home business. I've been watching you for a long.
You're being too nice to me, man. You're being too nice to me.
Well, I mean, I was a young college kid when I first saw you, with the Mentors program, and you guys crushed it. I mean, did some really interesting things.
That was 2001 to 2006, 182,000 students at $500 a pop.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, I was just graduating college, 2001. I was just graduating college, was in the advertising world, but got into the network marketing space with a mentor.
Who was your mentor?
Cowboy Bill Watts. He owned a pro wrestling company.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he sold it to Ted Turner back in the day. So he did very, very well and introduced me to a network marketing company, and I was hooked, But for me, I was doing lead generation. I was doing a lot of lead generation, so it wasn't real popular to be – it was like at that time, the network marketers wanted to be internet marketers, and the internet marketers didn't like network marketers. Yeah. They didn't want to be one of the network marketer.
Two different worlds.
Yeah.
You brought up an interesting word. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm hooked on this word, and now the word's hooked. You said you were hooked. You went to a meeting and you said you were hooked.
I was.
This is really important for a lot of network marketers out there. So you're in this meeting, you're watching all the dynamics taking place, you're sitting there. Maybe you're not watching the dynamics because you're so caught up in the hypnotic presentation. Mm-hmm. What hooked you, man? What hooked you to the industry?
Well, it was passive income at that time. And so I remember Bill told me, he goes, he said, when I introduced people to the wrestling ring, this is what he told me. He goes, I got a letter from ASCAP. And he said that letter told me I owed money by bringing people to the ring with money. I mean, with music. And so he said that always attracted me, that you could do something one time and get paid over and over. But so when he told me that, I'm like, really? So we do something one time. But that's a perfect world, right? I think it's a little bit different because you introduce somebody to a product or service, you're going to be you're going to make money as long as that person buys. Well, if you have a high dollar product or it's overpriced or a service that stinks or whatever, that residual is not going to last long, obviously.
Well, you brought up a key point. So you got the word hooked, and I think this is the problem in network marketing today. I don't mean to bring up all the negative, but I'm not going to be a little cult puppet on the call here today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you brought it up, man. You brought it, and it's really cool that people get to see this because most people do these interviews, right? And they come on here and they bullshit and they talk about, personal growth and development and all that garbage. I call it garbage because I used to be a part of that stuff for 18 years. But you brought up two key words, hooked and then money. Yeah. So the first thing really, so what you saw as an observer, I mean, everybody should listen and learn from this. So what you saw as an observer is there's a model out there that will allow you to have passive income in theory, maybe working part-time because you've got a family, you're coming out of college, and other things are important in life too. You just can't throw yourself into a multi-level marketing company and trust the concept, although people learn that lesson recklessly. So it was money that got you though, right? Honestly, it was the cash that got you, that could give you a lifestyle. Is that correct?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was that. Well, yeah. I mean, obviously that was what I was driven by at a young age.
But that's the truth for everybody.
Yeah, right.
We're not doing it for free. So then you brought up another key word, and this is something I've been in so many conversations in the last week about this. Well, actually, probably longer than the last week, but it's really manifesting itself now. So we talk about products. See, this is really important in multi-level marketing because you've got a comp plan, which is the dream. You've got a product that allows it to be legal. Now, the key thing is the product. Now, let me ask you a truth back then. Whatever product that was that got you into the business, when you were hooked, when you first saw it, was the product something you were emotionally connected to, like just really tied into in a really big way, something you couldn't live or breathe without?
Well, you're going to laugh. So let me take it back a step further, and then I'll answer that. So I was introduced to network marketing really when I was 17. And it was a product that, because I was wrestling and then I wrestled in college. So it was a product that helped me lose weight. It was a product that helped me, from a nutritional standpoint. So from that standpoint, yes. But when I really started doing network marketing, here's how the story goes. You're going to laugh. It's a good one. So I went to this guy's house, Bill, and I was introduced to this company that was in Dallas, Texas. And they had a product that, no doubt about it, I mean, it was a great, great product. But the problem was the science was so great that you had to be a scientist to explain it. So there was going to be never, So then he saw that. And he saw there were some managerial problems. He kind of reminds me of you a lot. I mean, because he always told me, he goes, Josh, when you do business, look, the problem is you're going to get to know these owners. And then he said, everybody puts them on this pedestal. He said, you're going to see their warts. You're going to see their problems. He goes, and he said, and I always saw the problem in the company. And so he said, I got off on a tangent of trying to help the company instead of build the business. He said, I mean, he was a business owner and successful. So of course he saw that. So I saw the problem. I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to do this. And he said, don't join me. I'll be back. I'm going to Florida. I'm looking at visiting some friends. Well, he was looking at another business because he was seeing the problems of this other company. So and he's not a jumper. I mean, this is a guy when he stays, so he went into this company, well-known company. There's a lot of people that are in it today still. Actually, and it's surging. It's doing fairly well.
Yeah.
And he said, this is going to be, it's a catalog company and it's not network marketing. It's, they use another word for it. And so, yeah. So I go, look, man, I said, I'm here. I am going from this scientific, phenomenal product to a catalog of soap and this and non-toxic and la, la, la. And I go, I can't wrap my head around it at 21 years old. I think you have to have an awesome product. He goes, oh, they have like 200-300 awesome products. I'm like, well, that's even more confusing because the guys at my age at 21, they're not buying a $4 or $5 bar of soap, and they're at the bar. I mean, they're not buying this. I said, so I'm 21. I don't have a sphere of influence like he did at 65 and knew everybody under the sun. And they knew him. Like we'd walk into a store in Tulsa and people, they'd ask him what he's doing. He talked about network marketing. He could sign someone up right there because of his, because of who everybody knew him. For me, I'm a 21.
He's a god with a little G.
Right. I had no sphere of influence at all at 21.
Right.
And this was right as social media and everything was starting to happen. So it really, the first, so to answer your question, when we first initially started talking, it was the product.
Yeah.
And I knew I could make a lot of money with it. But then the company had issues, which I'm glad he made the move because it was a company that actually went out of business at one point.
Right.
Well, and so then I got into this company and I was like, I struggled. And I'll tell you one big lesson, for people that are watching this. I'm not in network marketing. I'm not. So, but one lesson he taught me was, he said, if you're going to be successful at this, he said, you need to use my name, meaning you need to brand yourself with me and ride the wave with me. And he said, and I'll take you there. He said, if you just bring people to me. But here I was, a competitive person. I'm like, no, I'm building my own. I'm doing my own thing. And I had no sphere of influence.
Right.
It'd be like if I was working with you when you were in mentors, right? And I was a young kid. Well, the smartest thing I would have done is use Val Smith's name.
Right.
Like I'm going to introduce you to the guy. Instead of, right. I didn't do that. And so I struggled early with the thing until I finally started building a network. But so number one, I was initially drawn to the product. Then when we went to this other company, which I didn't sign up with that first company, then I struggled because I was like, yes, they're great products, but as a marketing person, I can't get my head around 300, 400, 500 products.
Wait, let's stop there for 1 second. So you've got a company with great products. This is really important because most people, going in the network marketing industry, it takes you years to figure this out.
Yeah.
Like it's hard for me. Like I didn't mean to interrupt you, but just stay with me here on this because this is important for your audience. So I've been in this game for 41 years. Got started in 79. And it took me probably my first probably 17, 18 years, dysfunction, failure, shy, scared, introverted, suffer anxiety, dealing with depression, things like that. And, you talk about a company with great products. You just said the company had great products, but it still wasn't moving. Now, the key is why? What was it? A company with great products, sensational products, in theory, because that's what we're taught to say that. Whether the products are shit or whether they're good, we're still taught to say that. Because many of my friends, well, I shouldn't say many, a few of my friends manufacture products for the MLM community. And they can tell you what's good and what's bad. And one of my good friends, he recently passed away. He owned a 400,000 square foot manufacturing facility, manufacturing for Costco and 58 multi-level marketing companies. And the interesting thing he said to me, because he and I used to stay up at 2:00 in the morning and talk about our kids and talk about life and talk about all kinds of things. But he said, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I have no problem saying it. But he told me that he manufactures for X amount. And I think I told you somewhere in the 50, 58 or so. And he said, he told me that his business is to manufacture products, but he said the majority of the products that he manufactures for MLM companies, he wouldn't feed to his cows. And he said, because in theory, they're packaged nice and they come with a great story because we're storytellers, right?
Yep.
But he said in practicality, he said that he wouldn't feed it to his farm animals because they came with a lot of fillers and carcinogenics masked within. And so I said, well, isn't that an ethical issue? And he said, it's business. He said, my products will never be like that. But if this is what the client wants, and he says, your grocery stores are full of this stuff. And he says, so are your MLM companies. They're full of this stuff. So when I take a look at it, so like, you know, a bottle of something like this could be manufactured for $3.34, but then we sell it for $89. And so how can you, the real manufacturing costs $3.34. So how can you have proprietary ingredients that are like unbelievable for the human body? I'm just telling people to think. I'm not here to judge your programs. I'm just saying, so it took me 35 years to start figuring this stuff out, start thinking about the truth behind MLM as opposed to the cult puppet theory processing type, hey, state-of-the-art product, patent pending, doctor advisory board, Harvard, Yale, Berkeley. It's all a facade. It's all bullshit. But anyhow, go ahead.
Well, that's true. And like, I haven't been in the industry since 2016. Yeah. So I own a digital marketing company, and we work with a portfolio of companies and a couple of politicians and whatever. But so I'm not, but I have been approached lately. See, I had a post the other day you had commented on. I did have and I do see it. I'm getting hit on, and maybe it's a season. We're going into Thanksgiving, sure. Christmas. So, usually you see a bunch of people pop up and try to recruit you going into first quarter next year, whatever. Yeah. And so, but the thing that I've sat down with these people and I'm like, and I've honestly looked at some companies and I'm like, I said, guys, man, I look at the percentages that you guys are doing this at. I mean, we're seeing it with Amazon and Shopify, and these young kids are crushing it without having to build a network, right? And I don't know what it is. I mean, there is this, maybe it's been ingrained in me, but there is some sort of, I want to build a network. It's fun. It's fun in a certain sense, but then the owners get involved and like, well, okay, now look, you're a 1099 technically. Yeah. However, we're going to tell you, you got to come to this convention. You got to do this. It's usually, here's what I notice in network marketing. You usually have a good management, decent product, and a okay comp plan, or you have a great comp plan, horrible management, and an okay product. There's those three variables, I see, plus many, many more variables. Yeah. I mean, it really is the hardest business. I think it's one of the hardest businesses to build. I'm not trying to bash the industry.
No, it doesn't matter. All you're doing is telling your truth, and we're here to tell the truth. I'm not going to come on here. I mean, I could come on here and tell you an entirely different story 20 years ago when I was dumb and stupid about the industry. I'd tell you how perfect it is and how wonderful it is and how state-of-the-art comp plans are. But when you get a little bit older and wiser sometimes, I don't know if it's an age thing like wine, you kind of step back. And I've done really well in this industry, so I can afford to step back and say anything I want because this industry is not a big part of my life the way it was at one time. Right. So you got to take a look at it realistically. I mean, 1979, we wore different clothes. We had different hair. The 80s were different. The 90s were different. The 2000s were different, when I helped pioneer the high ticket programs back in the mid 90s to 2000. And then all these companies copied Mentors in Motion because it was like the biggest thing in the world for probably 3 years in that genre of affiliate marketing. But then you've heard me on videos say the turning point was 2016, and I'm a Canadian. I'm not here to judge your politics down there. The election of 2016 changed the world. That's when Pandora's box opened up and we got to see things, right or wrong. But what I'm saying is, I'm not here to talk about Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump or Biden. You guys can work that out down there, and I hope things work out for the best. But the turning point was when you bring a businessman, whether you like him or not, it's not about him as a character in this conversation. It's about what he signified to the globe, the industry. And so you bring a businessman to go against the old boys, old women's club and expose, through chaos and stupid speeches and different theories. He opened up Pandora's box, man. And it opened up all the corruption in Hollywood. It opened up all the corruption with executives. every now and then I remember in 1980, we would see the National Enquirer, and you might see an American politician that got caught for having a prostitute. Well, now all the politicians are getting caught for having prostitutes and children, almost, it's like really sick. So we got this big opening, and, multi-level marketing is no different than politics if you're a scholar of the industry. It's not like you don't worship some guy on stage and, hey, man, I flew down to this event and the only thing I got out of it was a $4,200 credit card bill, and I caught a little buzz, and we drank some wine, and I got to shake hands and business cards. But there's more to this industry than anyone's talking about. And the trainers, believe it or not, Josh, the trainers can't help you. You've got all these people dumping money into trainers and come instead take my course and I'll show you. The only thing a trainer can do for you is show you how to get more exposure.
Yeah.
Now, but even exposure, even if you had 300 leads a day, 400 leads a day, what does that truly mean when your product is shit? What does that mean when you got a product that nobody wants? That's the side nobody's talking about, but they're all saying, buy my course. Hey, I'm doing a Zoom call at 8:00 tonight. Let me do a free course. Let me show you this. Let me show you how to read a script. But still, the excuse is, why are people failing in network marketing? Think about that. Why are people failing in network marketing? Well, the easy excuse is they're dumb, stupid, and lazy. They're not consistent. Oh, that's bullshit. That's not why people are failing in multi-level marketing. Those are components as to why people are failing in multi-level marketing, but that's not the real reason why. Not even close.
But well, that's good. You hit on a good point. And I see, so 2013, I'm in New York. There's a guy trying to start a network marketing company, and his family's very wealthy. Right. Liberal. He's a liberal guy, very liberal, but he's trying to get into capitalism, right? So, and so we're up there talking to him, consulting. He lives in New York. He drives me out of Manhattan. We're going up into upstate New York. So we're going to go around Manhattan. I don't know what highway that is, but as we're going around and we see the George Washington Bridge and all that, over on the right-hand side, there's, I don't know if it's Trump's buildings, but it's either his or he's licensed his name to those buildings, Trump. And it's the first time I've saw it. And so I'm like, so that's Trump's buildings. He goes, well, I guess either that or licensed. He goes, what do you think about him? Here I'm from Oklahoma. So he's trying to see what I feel about it. He's lived in New York his whole life. So he knows.
Yeah.
And I said, look, I personally think this, man. I'm not saying he would ever be a good president, but it'd be nice to have a businessman who's been successful, had successes and failures, run this country. And he goes, well, you can't run a government like a business. And I'm like, why not? Like, why couldn't we? I said, I think he'd be a great president. So I'm in his car, and you see my post on Facebook.
Yeah.
So I write this post as he's driving me up to like Pleasantville, and there's another town he took me to. And going to his offices. And I wrote, I said, if Donald Trump was to ever run for president, would you vote for him? And everybody thought, oh, hell no. Like, no way. I'd never vote for this guy, whatever. And then, of course, over half the country voted for him, which I think more voted for him this time. We'll see. I mean, it's hard to claim fraud when you don't have the elements to do that. That's why he's got attorneys trying to show that that's what happened. I have a certain feeling on it. But you're right. He did expose it. He exposed a lot of things. I think it's not just Democrats, it's Republicans don't want him in office either, because that's taken away from their little their swamp creatures as well in that. Sure. So back to network marketing though, my whole thing with this video right here, so it's an addictive industry. Like, when you look at it, you're like, I can make a lot of money doing, and so then here comes the trainers and look, in theory. I worked with Joe Schroeder and Diane. We worked together.
Good people.
Great people. I learned more about marketing from him and Bill Watts than I ever got my 4-year degree ever. You're talking about another scam. We won't even go into that. But I learned more from Joe Schroeder. That dude was genius. And Bill Watts was genius. And Diane Hockman was fun to work with too. She's still doing good. I learned more about marketing than them. And I told him once, I said, look, for me, I want to take this and create a funnel and I was talking all this jargon, branding and list building. He goes, listen, I don't care what you think you want to do with me. He goes, but until you, and it kind of is what you're talking about. He said, until you can learn how to communicate,
Right.
He said none of this other marketing doesn't matter, because it's if you got a horrible message and you've got whatever. He said he said I'm not going to show you how to use YouTube or Facebook, or he said that's not me. He said I'm a direct response guy, which him and Bill Watts, you could take, and you could take your stuff, turn it into any media, and it's going to be successful. I mean, because of the communication value. Right. So I learned more from him. He's like, he said, you're telling me all this stuff. He goes, but until you learn how to communicate properly, he said, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do. And so it was copywriting, and it was all this other stuff. And I'm like, I've never learned this. And so when you go back to starting to talk to a network marketer that's in your group about this, you got to meet Joe Schroeder, you need to meet whoever. Then all of a sudden the owners are like, look, and I know what they're trying to do. Their whole thing is, we don't want you looking that way. You got to stay focused right here. Let's sell this product and whatever else. And then you start to realize, well, man, this isn't working for a variety of reasons. I always was okay in network marketing just simply because I built a network, so I recruited some really good people. But then keeping that thing going was a hamster wheel, man. And for people that are doing network marketing, man, I wish them all the best. I have been tempted to get back in, but every time I do, I have sort of a reality check. And I'm going,
well, it's really tempting for a lot of people, that even some trainers. We just recently had a trainer pop back into network marketing.
I saw that
yesterday. Yeah, and I don't blame them. Times are tough. You got to feed your family. If you're making a living on it, 8 months, nobody's paying. People are realizing people are realizing that they don't want to spend a lot of money in that industry. They don't want to keep dumping money into things. So, residual income is magical. It's enticing. It's hypnotic. It's beautiful. It's a dream come true. But, again, as you get older in life, or, when you get a chance to work behind the veil and see what really goes on inside the factory, not just on the outside of the factory where it's beautiful, where you actually get to see the world of Oompa Loompas. It's really interesting. And, you're taking products that are like, $4 or $5, $6, $7, and then you mark them up times 8, 10, or 12 in theory for the comp plan. And then the comp plans are really interesting too, because they're enticing, like a binary. The only good thing about a binary, if you really understand the binary, is you can do things with a binary, you can manipulate it, but why a binary is so effective psychologically is the fear of loss. Mm-hmm. That's what keeps people there. That's what keeps people that have been recruited to kind of be customers at the same time, because you can always scare them. The upline can always scare you and say, hey, the volume's going to flush. You're going to flush the volume, or, you've got all this volume underneath you. Like I know one lady that's in a coffee company. She's got $127 million in volume in her power leg, and she's got $800 in volume. She's been ordering the coffee for 12 years because the 127 million, she's hoping someday she can catch up to that, which is virtually mathematically impossible for her, probably at age 67 too. She doesn't have a lot of years left to do it. So there's a lot of manipulation out there. It sells hope. And we're not really preaching the real business and the real thought process and the real analytics of the industry. We're selling the dream still. Like, people are still buying the dream. A lot of people still don't even understand their comp plans or how comp plans even work, or where they pay or how they pay.
Would you ever do it again? Would you ever do network marketing again the way?
Well, I am. I own an affiliate company, which is network marketing, but it's not multi-level marketing. But you know what? That's a fabulous question, and it's a fair question. I would come back to because you see, people think I'm slamming multi-level marketing all the time. It's the greatest industry in the world, I think, just to get the record straight. Greatest industry in the world, but it's broken.
Yep.
It's going to take intelligent, smart people that actually give a shit to fix it. And what I mean by give a shit is, don't think of what I need out of it as a company owner so I can still drive the $500,000 cars in the driveway. Think about it for the person that's working in the trenches. Do you know what I'm saying? You got to build it around the people. And the only comp, like, I'll just tell you, if I were to come back, I'd have to build the comp plan. And the comp plan that I would build would not be a stair-step breakaway. It would not be a matrix. It would not be a binary. Not even close. I would go back to What's the theory? What was the old school taught? Multi-level marketing was a great vehicle to create passive income, which is not true, by the way. There is no passive income working part-time in multi-level marketing. There's passive debt, but you'll never discover residual income. And I'm generalizing. I'm talking about a lot of people, right? And so I would create a 3-tier system, a wave 4 marketing plan. So it'd be a three-tier unilevel with an infinity bonus structure, and there would be no hoops and hurdles for people to jump through. The leaders could benefit from an infinity bonus pay plan, but everybody would be on an equal level playing field. You wouldn't have diamonds and blue diamonds and black diamonds. You wouldn't have requirements. Well, you got to sponsor 2 in order to get paid 2 levels or 3 levels. I mean, that's all breakage, and that's vaselining the leadership in the company and stuff. I think somebody needs just to create a fair compensation plan to allow a person to make $600 a week, not a month. This whole myth about, well, the average person would like to make $500 a month. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, who wants to make $500 a month and then 200 of that's going in auto ship and it doesn't even compensate you for your time? So I think I know where you're at, and I know what's going on in your head. I know what's going on in my head, even though I don't really need to be doing any of this stuff, but I love it. I'm addicted. And I tell my wife every day, she says, why do you waste your time with all those people on the internet? They don't even like you. You know, she said, like, why do you waste your time? They're all a bunch of losers. You know, we live a multi-million-dollar lifestyle. And I say, you know what? I said, I came from high school without graduating. I quit college 3 weeks before graduation, just on purpose to piss my parents off. And I said, I came from a dysfunctional background where my dad was an alcoholic. My mom left when I was 8. And I probably shouldn't have lived past 22. And then I was able to do something very few people in the world ever do, like build a massive, company and have great success back in the early 2000s, which gave us an incredible lifestyle. So I said, for me to have this knowledge and wisdom that I think is knowledge and wisdom, to be able to share the truths or potential truths with people in this industry, why would I turn my back on what gave us everything we have today? She just wants to go off in La La Land and fly around and have fun and stuff. But man, I love this industry. It's an addiction, but I have something to contribute. It might not be positive to the cult puppets and the experts and the leadership in the industry, but I see myself well beyond that. I'm not in there. I was in their position 26 years ago. I'm not there anymore.
Well, that's a good point, though. The first thing that comes to my mind is when you're talking this, is that it's almost for the people who like Donald Trump. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like you almost need someone to come in and clean this swamp out a little bit too.
Big time. We need more people like you, people like Diane Hochman, people that'll step up. But you know what? I can probably do it the best because I don't need this industry. Like some of my buddies, they keep their eyes on me and they say like, holy shit, you pissed that guy off and you pissed this guy off and you pissed them off. Yeah, but they need this industry. As long as you need a job and as long as you need this industry to financially support you, or as long as you need the following to support where you are, and I don't need that because I've surpassed all that, like well beyond. They're not financially, they're not in my league, right? Yeah. So when you have that comfort zone, like Donald Trump, he's got comfort outside of being the president, so he doesn't need a paycheck to be the president. I don't need a paycheck to piss people off online. My world's different outside of the online world. I do whatever I want now, but when you take a look at people that say, yeah, Val, the industry is wrong and there's so much wrong with it and the gurus are teaching the wrong information and they're taking advantage. And I say, well, why don't you say that in a public forum? Like, right. why don't you call them dirtbags and scumbags like I do? Use that vocabulary. We can't do that. We're ambassadors to the industry.
Oh my gosh, I get so sick and tired of seeing that too. There's guys.
You know what? We would wreck our reputation with company owners and this and that and the other. But I respectfully, I get that. You got to protect yourself.
No, I get
anything else to fall back on, Josh.
I know, but there's guys that come on here on the internet and they're this, I don't know what to say. They're gurus and they'll come on and they'll be like, well, we need to do this for the industry and that for the industry. I'm like, well, then get your ass in the industry and why don't you build one yourself, or do something other than be this talking horn. That's we need to do this for the industry and be this ambassador and whatever else. I'm like, it's an industry, it's business. I mean, do you go to Chase? I mean, do you go to the banking industry and are there ambassador? I mean, are there really good ambassadors in the banking industry and this industry and that industry? Why do they try to treat network marketing industry like this crown jewel whenever, and usually when that happens,
it isn't, man. Network marketing is just a bunch of dysfunctional people that are lower white collar, middle class, and and blue collar workers. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a beautiful thing. It gives them an opportunity. How can you be in business at $500?
right?
That's not business, dude. I mean, I have a multi-million-dollar business outside of this online crap. Like the online crap is fun. It's great. It's exciting. The best part of it is like multi-level marketing for me is like high school. I get to meet beautiful people like you that I never would have had the opportunity to meet in this lifetime other than social networking. Diane, Todd Falcone, everybody, lots of people out there that you get to meet because of it. And it's almost like we get paid to meet people. It's really cool. And it should be a social club. Wouldn't it be fun to get paid to meet people? And in theory, that's what it is. But there's too many egos and there's too many obstacles in the way. And, people don't have the balls to step up and tell people the truth. Like Donald Trump, whether he's dysfunctional, whether he's crazy, whether he's had a track record with women and doing whatever. I don't even give that. We're talking about what it signifies. And, he signified opening up a can of worms. That's what he signifies to me. Not what he said in a speech. I could care less. But his presence intimidated the shit out of a lot of people. Just him being there, whether he opened his mouth or not, it freaked people out. They went into shock. They were scared. They panicked. And that's what would happen in multi-level marketing today if more people like, you're making an attempt at it, and the things that I do. I mean, everyone says, man, how do you say those things? Like, where do you get the balls to say those things? I don't know. It's just, I wouldn't have did it 20 years ago because I'd be too scared to. But today, I'm not going to come out and lie to people. Multi-level marketing is a great industry, but there's a lot of potholes. There's a lot of traps. And there's no such thing as residual income, by the way. Residual income is bullshit. It's residual debt.
That's a good point. I've never heard it quite put that way. But that is a good point. And, like I said, I actually went on a trip not too long ago to Florida. The guy says, hey, I want you to look at this network marketing company. And so we meet the executives and I'm like, look, you have this product and now you're going into other products. You'll always be known as that product, which it's not a bad product, but you're trying to reinvent. And I said, to be quite honest, as a marketing guy, I don't think I could get behind it. Your products are subpar, but you owners are probably the best owners I've ever been around.
Yeah.
They were great owners. And I'm like, why couldn't you guys find a good company or a good product with a good compensation plan? It's always something. Great people, though. This guy that owns it, very wealthy. He's done very well. He was a basketball coach. They come from college athletics. And I always, for whatever, like Art Williams and these guys, back in the day that came from high school and college athletics. I'm attracted to that because obviously I was one, but I know they're going to work. You know they're going to work. You know they're going to be relentless. But at the same time,
they're missing the whole point, man. They're missing the whole point. They're smart. They're educated. They're looking at the model. They're like copycat cloning. A lot of the companies look for another health and nutritional product. Why? Just imagine if there was a network marketing opportunity in the United States based on what you're saying. You got great ownership, great leadership like that. They come out with this membership card. So it's just, here's the back of my phone. So it's a membership card. You can buy this membership card through multi-level marketing. What does this product allow you to do? Now watch the difference here. What this product allows you to do is get your gasoline for 50 cents on the gallon for the rest of your life. Do you think people would buy that?
Sure.
If you didn't have to pay $2 a gallon or $2.17 or $1.70 a gallon because you own this product through 50 cents. You will never pay more than 50 cents in this lifetime for gasoline. Is there a need for a car like that? Yes. Does everybody want a car like that? Yes. That would change the world. That would change network marketing. You could bring in the real world, not just a whole bunch of piranhas that have been feeding off each other like single cell amoebas for years, recycling the same network or looking for an edge because we put a different carcinogenic in our product this week than the last carcinogenic product. It's you see, they're failing. They're cutting their throats. They're smart. They're educated. Great software, great comp plan, but where they screw everybody is the same shitty marked up product that I can get on Amazon for $14.
Yeah, that's a hard part for me to get around, is to sit there and go, okay, and they're like, yeah, I want to build a network with you.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, so I'm the product basically, but yet here I am going to introduce this product and these other products, and they're overpriced. I mean, I don't know. I can't feel good about doing it. Again, I love the industry. I love the concept of network marketing. I love it. And that's why I put that on Facebook the other day. If you look at my Facebook post, you'll see, I mean, a lot of it's political and a lot of it's, and then capitalism and business as well, right? So very conservative. I have a very conservative following, which is a good following to have. And, yeah. And
it is. So this is a weight loss product. I'm not going to show you a whole bunch about it. Probably $6 to put together. Like, why should I pay $129 for this? And then I'm supposed to go out there and, the multi-level marketing industry, they tell people, well, you got to develop more customers and distributors.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
How
ask.
the hell am I supposed to create a customer? What am I sell this $189 retail when it's $6?
Yeah.
So I'm supposed to get a customer base for that, or I'm supposed to get a customer base for this $89 bottle of, you know what this product's great for? It's an antioxidant, but you know what it works really good for? Taking oil stains off my driveway, dude. It's phenomenal for taking the oil stains off the driveway, for $89, right? But like, how do we retail? How do you retail when we know, and that we're marking the product up 10 times already what it's really worth?
That's what I don't understand is, so this last company I was with, I won't say their name, but they brought in some pretty big players, and that's what they're talking about. It's like, well, we're getting a lot of customers, and I'm sitting there going, man, you have a subpar product. How are you and they're like, well, because of the FTC and because of whatever, we have to get more customers. And I'm like, well, that's a business model, meaning you get customers. But then they're talking about all this. And I said, when I was with you guys, I said, my whole concept was you should go after Instagram influencers. You should go after podcasters and bloggers. And, those people are smart because they were all going, okay, fine. You come to me. You want me to endorse your product and sell it. And give me your product. I'll review it. And if I like it, then I'll sell it to my audience. And then this network marketing company goes to me, no. We're not going to give them product. If they want it, they have to buy it. I'm like, so they have 500,000 in following, and you're going to make them buy this product so then they can share with their I said, they were here before you ever were.
Yeah.
So why would you make them do that? I'm like, that's an investment. Well, if we do that, then, then we should just make our whole business based on Instagram influencers and whatever. And I'm like, you guys are nuts, man. And I'm like, you guys can make a fortune if you get these people. And so then what happens is these podcasters, bloggers, influencers, whatever, they're smart, some of them. And they go, so you're wanting me to basically take an overpriced product to my audience that I've spent a lot of time building, and you want me to sell them on this? They could go to Onnit, or they could go to any other affiliate product, any affiliate product that's one level or whatever. And instead of getting 6%, they're getting 30 or 40 or 50%, and they have a huge feeling. Why would you? And listen, they don't have to do conference calls and Zooms and babysit a downline.
Well, they end up becoming a prostitute working for a pimp, and the pimp's really benefiting off the beautifuln't of the prostitute, right? Like, imagine being able to get a Kylie Jenner to promote your stuff, or, the other I can't think of all the Jenners. There's all kinds of Jenner sisters in there, and imagine seeing them trying to sell $129, $189 MLM product, which they could do because there would be a lot because they got a following that's of a cult mindset. And they believe $2, $3, $4 items are really worth $200 because it'll make you look like a Jenner. Yeah,
I mean, could you imagine? And I'd like to see what the reorder rate is on that.
Yeah, it'll perish. And people talk about retention and attrition and stuff like that. Like, why even have those conversations? It's so predictable. And especially now in 2020, people come and they throw their stats up. People say, how many people come to me and say, Val, it's COVID's going on right now and our company's exploding right now. Based on what? Based on the asshole that you heard on the conference call last night tell you that came from corporate and went on just to announce that. Have you done a forensic audit of the inside? Have you gone through, like all these network marketers are like a bunch of little hooers running around the internet, throwing stats and analytics around that they know nothing about. They throw comments out there, but they can't back any of those comments up. They're not in the office seeing the products coming in, seeing, accounts payable, accounts receivable, company growth, going through the database, the audits and everything, and this is what frustrates me about, multi-level marketing today. And it frustrates me because I used to be that little peon that used to think and talk that way. And now I said, was I really that little peon that used to talk that way and bullshit people and hype people? But what's the first thing we're taught to do in multi-level marketing? You know what the first thing we're taught to do in multi-level marketing is to lie to people, deceive people. Honestly, we're taught to bullshit people unintentionally. We don't know that. We're innocent. We're naive. It's like telling your son or daughter that's 3 years old, go tell grandma, say this to grandma. And the kid doesn't really know what they're doing. So innocently, the kid does something wrong, right? And then grandma gets pissed off. But the whole point being is multi-level marketers aren't the smartest business people in the world. And they're not even business people. Really, they're not. They're employees. They're 1099. They follow the guidelines, policies, and procedures of the company.
Well, that's another thing. Again, this whole point wasn't for me to rip on network marketing, but
we're scamming about it. People don't have to buy into our stuff. We're just two crack addicts doing a presentation right now.
But that was my biggest issue too. I have an attorney here in Tulsa, and we were sitting down once, and I said, and it's a network marketing company. And I said, these guys, and I was pissed off. I said, these guys, they can terminate you for talking about another product. They can terminate you. So, for example, if I'm out and I'm on my podcast and I talk about a different product, a competing product, and they see that if I'm a part of a network marketing company, they can terminate you if other people buy that product or whatever. And he's an attorney. He goes, "You're a 1099, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well," "Are they paying? As far as are they withholding any type of taxes or withholding anything? They're not paying your insurance. They're not doing any of this stuff." He goes, really? He said, "How do they get away with this stuff? How do they think they're going to get away with it?" And he made some very interesting points. If you really wanted to pursue, had a big bank account, and you wanted to pursue these type of companies, you could do that. I personally, again, I love the concept. I would love to do it again, but I know about 40 hours into it. After I signed the agreement, 48 hours into it, maybe less, I'd be like,
what did I do?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then you've committed to someone. You're like, okay, let's go run. And then you feel like a total idiot because you're like, I committed to this person, and now you go back to him and say, look. And then what you're doing is once you tell them that, you're like, then you're convincing. You're not convincing. You're telling them you also made a crazy decision, and you know it. But I figured it out within 48 hours. I can't do this. And
you've got this industry. The truth is, my truth is, other people will sit there and say, "Oh, he shouldn't be saying these things because I subscribe to this brainwashing technique over here." But the truth is, you've got dysfunction, recruiting dysfunction. If they're recruiting at all, equals dysfunction, and that's not because I said so. It's the law of the universe. In all the self-help books and the audio cassette tapes in the world, they're not going to save you. They're not going to save you, honestly. There's something called the law of gravity. If you walk off a 30-story building, all the power of positive thinking in the world, all the goal setting on your way down is not going to save your ass. It's just the law. So I would recommend, if anyone's serious about success in life and success in business and success in relationships, study universal spiritual laws and get the hell out of the man-made personal growth and development movement. That stuff's dangerous. I was in that stuff for 18 years. That's another thing that freaks me out, right? Because it's basically sugar. I used to go to all the seminars, all the workshops, but man, I believe in God. I choose to believe in God, and I'd rather play by God's rules than I would some guy that's taking advantage of a movement called the self-help movement, which was created in 1941 by the Conan Nightingale organization. And then that's where you learn all the garbage like goal setting and power of positive thinking and lying to yourself. And that's when you learn how to become really good at manipulating yourself and other people, right? It takes you years to discover that stuff. In some cases, some people don't discover it. They're always, oh, you're failing. It's not working. Oh, you need to read a book this week. Oh, you need to read a book this week. They don't understand why you need to read a book this week. They have no idea why the cult leader's telling them to do that.
I thought about that too, and I got to get ready to run here. But my son's a wrestler. We have a bunch of friends their kids are wrestlers, and even in that sport, everything is goal setting, this and that. And I was talking to him about that once. I said, "Do you have goal?" Like I hear everybody else talking about goals. I don't hear you talking about goals.
I won't teach my kids goal setting. I keep in the head if I ever do.
Yeah, no, I'm talking to him about this, and he
Oh,
goes,
sorry.
he said, Dad, if I want to win a state championship, I'm going to go win a state championship. I don't have to set a goal to do it. If I want it, I'm going to go get it.
Right.
And if I want a world championship, I'm going to go get that world championship. I'm not going to really, it's not necessarily I need to set a goal. It's just, okay, that's what I got to do. That's what my plan is. I'm just going to go do it.
It's an absolute command. It's an absolute command. You can trick your brain into doing that. Subconscious mind is very powerful when you know how to work with it.
Yeah. So that was interesting because I've never really talked to him about setting goals. And then you hear everybody doing it. And so the pressure there, like everything else, the peer pressure of setting goals. And so I talked to him. I was like, what are your goals? Like, what do you want to do with wrestling? Like, what is your plan? I mean, you're in this, you've been in it your whole life. You're doing really well with it. Like, what do you want to do? He goes, wherever it takes me, it takes me. He goes, but if I want to win a world championship, make a world team, it's not necessarily what I call a goal. It's just, I'm going to go do it. Like, I'm going to go put the work in and just go become a world team member and then eventually a world champion. But I think that's that is a tough one because if you do set that goal and you fall short of it, they don't teach you really how to overcome the adversity.
The adversity of goal setting and the rejection and the low self-esteem that it creates and suicidal tendencies for some people that have very high expectations because they let their parents down. Parents, the educational system's warped. The power of positive thinking, motivational industries like totally warped. It's very dangerous. If you really analyze it and break it down and have the insights to be able to pull yourself back, it's almost like Walt Disney. Kids should not be watching Disney movies when you see the underlying messages behind Disney, the color of the clothing. There's so much stuff signified there. It's like, geez, our parents brought us to watch this stuff back in the 60s and 70s and 80s. The stuff is evil. Like, it's beyond evil.
Oh yeah, I think, and we're seeing more and more of that kind of come to fruition today with, things. The thing about social media, man, is you really can't BS people anymore. You can, but you'll get
exposed. Everything's exposed.
Yeah.
We're not stupid anymore. People are starting to wake up and question. The big thing is always question, right? Now we're not afraid to question things anymore. All because of 2016. If 2016 didn't have the result it had, we'd be having a totally different conversation right now.
We would, yeah. And it's almost like going down the Socratic method, going down Socrates' road here, because he got in all kinds of trouble, right? Teaching people how to question the authority and just question everything. And I've noticed that the Socratic method really, and this is a whole different thing, but if you're using in an argument or a debate, or whatever, if you question your way, you can always question your way to the truth. If you ask the right questions, you can get the right answers. But
right.
You're right. Yeah. I mean, we are questioning things, but so everybody watching right here, this was just kind of a riff. We just went and Val and I have had some really, really good talks and off air, like off of this. And I thought, man, I want to have this guy on because I'll watch his videos from time to time on Facebook, and it's not like a set time. He just comes on, and then it's so hard to not, sit there and watch. You're going to spend an hour. I mean, you might as well just, everything you had is going to go out the window. You're going to watch him. So very successful in the home business industry. And every time I get a different perspective when I listen to you. And so that's the thing about my podcast. I don't want to, you see these podcasts where they just bring on whoever. And again, I want to have some provocative questions and some provocative conversations. Megan Kelly's doing a good job with that right now. She's here. I don't know if she was from Canada or not. I know that Michaela and Jordan Peterson are really good podcasters. But Megan Kelly I think she got let go of Fox and NBC, Fireball, and she has one heck of a podcast. And she brings on people you wouldn't think she'd bring on. She has conversations you wouldn't think she would have, and she has a freedom now. She'll say that. I have freedom to say what the hell I want to say.
Yeah.
This is my platform, not Fox, not NBC. This is my platform.
But you know what the cool thing is? Whether people like the podcast or not, whether people like what they're hearing here today, it was different.
Yeah.
And we didn't come on here canned. We didn't come on here scripted. We didn't come on here and have a conversation prior to coming on here. We did this on the impulse of the moment. I didn't talk to you. You didn't talk to me. You didn't tell me and have me rehearse for questions you're going to say. We just came on here and jammed, and that's real. And the other thing that I really love about doing presentations like this is there's no Vaseline here. When I go see a lot of other presentations, video presentations, it's all feel-good shit. It's all let me tell you how wonderful it is, and let me tell you how I built my empire, and let me you know what I mean.
Yeah,
it's all the same cookie cutter crap. You can predict what the speakers are going to say. But I like it when somebody comes on here and throws a few F-bombs and S-bombs and tells you the truth instead of greasing you with 10 scoops of Vaseline and saying, hey, it's so beautiful, isn't it? Are you motivated now to get and build your business?
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you from my standpoint, being a podcaster, being an interviewer, whatever, knowing, I mean, you're witty, you're sharp, whatever. I had no idea what you're going to say. And so that brings a sense of, I mean, you get butterflies of that. I mean, because you don't know what's going to, I mean, I don't know what you're going to say, right? I have no idea. And I'm thinking he could take me a direction here that is uncomfortable or that I don't know. I'm not prepared for, and you just have to go with it. I think that's stimulating mentally. I mean, you better be ready. And I hope I can bring even more people on like that. Yeah, it is real.
It's real. It's real. This is real conversation. It's not fake news.
Yeah.
Fake news is when you get off this call and go back to Facebook and have to watch all the motivational quotes.
Right. Well, man, I appreciate having you on. I know you guys soon coming up too, and we got a wrestling tournament tonight, so
make it happen.
I think so, man. I think he's wrestling pretty good right now. So.
I just got to say one thing, dude. I have no idea how your daughter does that stuff. I have no idea how your daughter does that stuff. That is just like, that's a freak of nature in a beautiful way. That is unbelievable, man. Hats off.
Well, it sucks on that, and I'll let you run, is COVID has kind of put an end to that. The studios are getting shut down, and I hate it, man, for the kids. I really do. We have talent. I'm talking all across the world that is not getting to showcase it, not getting to that's their life. That's their kind of getaway, is to go and do that, get off social media and go focus on your craft, and somewhat being taken away. So that's tough when you see that.
Daddy's going to have to build a gym in the basement, because that, my friend, is a beautiful thing.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I'm probably going to have to do it. Yeah. Well, hey, you have a good rest of the day with you and your family, and appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, man. Let's do it again sometime.
We'll do it. Thanks.
Take care. Thanks, brother.